Can somebody confirm that we're actually on Jin Shin Institute's page? Well, you can't tell after you push the start button, and that's why we're saying we just got the Mevo camera up and running, so hopefully everything is going to be crystal clear for you. And
we're on?
Yeah, we're on. So you said let's get started. So here we are. All right, let me pull some wires. Everything is getting way, everything's getting way more technological here. Let me just make sure I can see myself and you can see me. All right, so we have Beginnings 1 coming up on March 2nd through the 4th, and Beginnings 2, we've split these up into 2 different modules so you can take them at separate times on April 6th through the 8th. And that is our self-help program. So what that looks like is learning how to help yourself, right? Do you want to talk a little bit more about Beginnings 1, or do we think everyone kind of knows?
I think everybody kind of knows.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah,
So if you have any questions, please reach out to me, Danielle at jinshininstitute.com.
And
oh, yes, and there's CEUs for massage therapists, which is why we pushed it a little bit so that we could provide those CEUs for massage therapy. Yay, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
All right, let me zoom.
So I'm going to take my own class so that I can get the CEUs. I need 36, so I'll just somebody's going to sign it for me.
All right, and then what's really exciting is we have Connections coming up as well. We've officially set the dates for Connections. Connections 1 and Connections 2. And that is our first, the 2 textbooks by Pamela Markarian Smith, and it's going to be with Alexis and Jules.
And Jules will talk a little
and
bit
Jules,
about it.
Yeah, Jules, go ahead and talk a little bit about it, and I'll zoom in onto your face.
Connections is going to cover pretty much everything that you want to know about Jin Shin Jyutsu. And we called it Connections because we're really looking at how everything relates. So what we know is the number flows, and then also the organ flows, and their interconnections. So that's going to be between 2 weekends. And
You're going to receive the 2 textbooks.
you get the 2 textbooks, you get a session every day.
Yeah, and a lot of
And
practice.
Practice on two people every day.
And we will cover all the material. So
That's going to be really fun.
Fun.
We're doing a lot of work.
do you have the dates? Yes, we do have the dates.
We do.
It's Connections 1 is May 11 till 13, and Connections 2 is May 18 to 20th, and I kept you in mind.
Thank you.
And then I will be teaching a workshop in Nijmegen in the Netherlands voor al onze Nederlandse volgers. En dat vind ik echt heel erg leuk. Lani organiseert het. And the class is called Cause and Effect. And we will talk about understanding the manifestation of disease and disharmony by investigating the cause of the project. So that's very in-depth. We will do some case studies and really understand if somebody comes in with a symptom, where that started. And so it's going to be the first time I'm going to be teaching it in Holland, and then I will bring the class here and we can do that together. So I think that's
Yay, that's it.
So let's start.
All right.
With the-
So we have a comment. Fascinating work, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Teresa, come on. So Teresa will be traveling, so she really needs some work done, and we're going to use her today as a demo. And so today we're going to talk about, Jules will start this. What we're going to talk about.
Today we're going to talk about the 13 flow because it's Valentine's Day. And 13 is really about love. It means love thy neighbor. And so the 13 is on the bus line. And let's see, I'm going to listen to Teresa's pulses.
I'm just going to put my hands on this because you're going to be out. So come around. Yeah, also in the meanwhile, what do you notice in the body here? What you?
She's
You relax. Just close your eyes.
she's fullest through the bust line, I think.
She is fullest through the bust line,
Yeah.
so you see that here?
Yeah. Let me scoot in here a little bit.
So the 13th flow for her is really appropriate.
Yeah.
Yes.
What did you feel in the pulse?
I felt a little buzzing in the waistline.
A little buzzing?
Yeah.
So maybe she's blocked in the waistline and
Yeah.
it's keeping energy up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you exhale, Teresa? Exhale. So, yeah, we just saw that when I asked her to exhale, which is letting go down the front, the first thing she did was take a deep inhale.
Mhm.
So,
Most of us do that.
most of us do that. But since she's already stuck in here on the chest line, she needs this descending energy, which has to
She
do with the
curled
exhale.
her feet back when she took an inhale. It's like she was trying to use leverage to get a full breath.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and so also that the feet are pointing up like this indicates that there is a descending need as well. So that is a good observation, and that's what we do throughout the session. We see how the body transforms and changes.
So the 13 flow is great for that. It works at the chest. It helps our breathing on the most fundamental level, right? It helps us expand our lungs and our rib cage. And 13 is a descending number. It's on the front of the body, so it helps exhale first, but then that will help the inhale.
By itself.
The other thing about 13 flow is we talk about it being a bust line flow, but it really is helping bust line, waistline, and hip line. If you look at the flow pattern, it starts on the sternum between the 13s, and then on the back at thoracic vertebrae 5 between the 10s. But then you move up to thoracic vertebrae 1, and then you slowly move down. So you move to the arms, the high 19s.
Yeah, do you want to kind of show this to the group? How to locate
Yeah.
it? You want to
Yeah,
do
we'll
it
do that
after?
afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after that, you move to the sternum, the base of the sternum. And so that's the level of the waistline, the 14s, between the 14s. And then you hold the fingers and then you move to the top of the pubic bone. So you're clearing all three regions, the bust line, the waistline, and the hip line. So it's really dynamic. So we'll see if her breathing changes, as long as she doesn't think about being on the game.
She's already breathing deeper.
Yeah,
She was
I see
first
that.
breathing up here, and now she's a little bit lower.
Let's take that here. She's
I would like, what I like to do kind of is show how we use the hand positions. Because otherwise people have to wait through us giving a whole session.
okay.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So we'll do the lecture part first and then we'll go into. So Teresa, do you mind flipping around for a moment? We're going to explain how to find T5, where the flow begins. And this is, in Mary's 79 text, she uses hand positions in there. And personally, I think they're important because, as we know, the hands send the energy up or down. So, that is the page where you see the hand directionality, where here there's an arrow up and here there is an arrow down. So if there are specific hand positions, I do think they're important and I do use them. So for the 13 flow, they're very easy to use, so we want to show them today. And also Jules will locate how to find T5, which is where the flow starts, and then how you can find T1, working your way up. Also, I like to, when I start at T5, I like to take also 1 minute to go through each of the vertebrae till I come to T1. So that instead of going straight from T5 to T1, I stay like 1 minute on each of the vertebrae, just clearing them.
I often do that too because we hold so much stress back here that it's really nice to clear all of those. So you don't have to turn your client over just to figure out
No.
what the vertebrae are.
This is for
Yeah.
demonstration
So,
purposes.
So we often use like bony landmarks to figure out where safety energy locks are, and then we use bony landmarks to figure out where other bones are. So particularly the vertebrae. So we have the scapula that sort of makes a triangle, and so you can feel the border of the scapula, and thoracic 5 is kind of in the middle. So in Jin Shin Jyutsu, at the top of the scapula we have the 3, and at the bottom of the scapula we have the 9, and in between those we have the 5, and it's at the same level as thoracic 5. Did I say we have the 10 in the middle?
10. 10
Yes.
is in the middle, and so it's on the same level.
And so if you can find
Can you put your
10
arms down? And yeah, just put your
in the
hands
middle,
side.
in the center of
Yeah.
the scapula, then you just reach in, and your fingers will sort of fall onto the spine. And sometimes there might be a vertebra that sticks out, and sometimes there might be one that's sunken in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And trust your fingers when you're working on the spine. You don't want to press too hard. It's a sensitive area, but let your fingers feel around and feel where they want to slide into place. And that's where you want to go.
Yeah, also often the T5 is easier to find because very often it sticks out just a little bit more than the others.
Yeah.
So that's another easy way to. So hers is, I would say, it's right. It's right here, and you can go right in between the, like on the
Between the
discs,
bumps.
between
Yeah.
the bumps, and clear that. Okay,
Mhm.
so that's very, very important that you can find T5 because T5 opens up the heart.
Yeah.
So even if you feel heart and pulse, I will go and do at least the first step of the 13 flow to see what's going on with that T5 because this T5 tells a lot about the heart energy.
Mhm.
So
And so that's the first step. And then you move your hand. So when you reach under, you can have your fingers pointing down. And so I usually will reach from the shoulder down like this. And then you just sort of comb up. And thoracic vertebra 1 is generally the most prominent of the vertebra. And it's the first one on the trunk. So the cervicals form the neck, and TV1 is attached to the first rib, and it's the most prominent. It's often the one that sticks out the most, and it's also the widest. And it doesn't move. If the person turns their neck, the cervicals will rotate when they're turning their neck, but thoracic vertebra 1 will hold still. So that's how you know you're
So just flip around to me.
get comfortable.
You're almost getting your session. All right, so Jules, can you just show the hand position? So if you move,
So I'll
just put them
Just
on you.
wherever
This is
you
good.
want.
Yeah, wherever you want, yeah. Because we'll talk a little bit about that too.
So I'll slide under this way,
You see, she sits at the head, almost at the head, like
or
on the-
at least to start, yeah?
yes, at least
So
to start.
I'll slide under. I don't want to go under the head because that's awkward, but between the head and the shoulder, I can get my arm in there comfortably. And I use the sheet. And for me, it's often just about a hand length down, and then I sort of feel around a little bit. The other way to, when someone's laying face up, to find TV5 is if you find their high 19, is sort of the mid arm, halfway between the elbow and the shoulder. That's kind of where you're aiming on the spine. So you use the arm as a yardstick there.
And the first step is.
And then, so my hand on the back is, my fingers are pointing down towards the feet. My hand on the front, my fingers are pointing up.
Is it reversed when you're on the right side?
Well, this flow is wonderful because you only do it from this side.
Really do.
It's only from one side.
So I'm working on the center of the body,
Mhm.
and that's one of the reasons why the hand direction is so important.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really working.
You know, when I started to look at the hand positions, I realized the work that Jeremiah had done to figure this all out for us, where his intention was to send the energy up and where the intention was to send the energy down. It's very specific, and when you study that, it's really beautiful to see that. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, so if we think about the hand directions right now, my right hand, which is on her sternum, the energy is descending. It's pulling the energy down. So it's helping the exhale. And on the back, it's also pushing it down. Right? So one way that I think about that is you don't want, you're pulling the energy down on both directions. So if there's a stuck up in the upper back, right, you want to back up a little bit before you move that energy through. So instead of just like pounding on the door, right, you're sort of loosening up that pressure.
Right, see what happens. I put these little arrows here. So you see what happens. Yeah, and then so as we continue the flow, it changes. So first it's sending it down.
And the directionality on the hands remains constant, right?
Yes, this has to do with this flow where you see the energy going like this, and then going here, and then crossing here, and then going down the front and coming up, and crossing to the other side. So that has to do with that. It's the energy, directionality. It's our jumper cable energy.
Right.
It's our jumper cable energy.
Right.
Sometimes when I get to thoracic 1, I feel on the sides of that vertebrae too, because our 11s are right there, and those get pretty full. And so when we know 11s are great for unloading and for breathing, part of that, the quickie that we do, 11 and 15, 11 and 25. So they're great for the inhale and exhale, just like the 3s are.
All right, just finish the flow, like just showing it at the back of 19. Because these people want some sessions too. Yeah, so the back, it says back of the high 19, so we do actually get into the back of it. And the back of the 19 actually helps the opposite shoulder again. So it's all really very calculated. So stay with that. Stay with the way it is in the book. And you see her legs are starting to straighten out a little bit. They were rolled over more, and we didn't even touch them yet. So you see then her hand still goes in that direction. And then moving through the fingers just to show it.
You go to the index finger, that helps second depth, right? It helps large intestine.
Well, why?
Large intestine starts at the index finger. The lung flow comes to the thumb, and then the index finger, and then large intestine takes over. And goes through those.
It also
those
has fourth depth.
Yes,
that's why I'm saying that, because we don't want to confuse people. Like, we know that the index finger also helps the fourth depth on a different level.
Yeah. So on an organ level, it helps large intestine. On a depth level, on the emotional level, it helps fourth depth. So, and then little finger helps small intestine on depth level, and also on a organ level. So little finger's a lot of fifth depth.
It helps deep emotional stuff, I find, the little finger. So,
And so this flow is great for, it helps all the finger flows, and finger flows are our creative flows. So if you want to be more creative in your life,
actually, Danielle and I are going to work with doulas tomorrow. I'm going to talk for just a very, very good flow for a mother and baby. Yeah.
So in the sideways to the top of the pube,
Mhm.
I don't want to.
So that
You can feel the trochanter part of the. And so I just use the heel of my hand and then sort of come over. So
yeah,
then
with
the
a woman
next-
you can go a little bit lower.
Yeah.
And then like, Lisa, can you hold?
Seven. So the thoracic. At the crease of the elbow. That's the, and so I slide from below my.
And then go down too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's often where. It's so necessary because we have this.
Yeah.
So. And so my fingers are pointing up, and then I bring my fingers down like this to thoracic 12.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll comb through those vertebrae. My thumb is pointing up, and my fingers are a little bit diagonal from this angle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in here it says really that they're up. So yeah, the directionality is up.
Yeah.
So just if you can get this book, it's very valuable. The 79 text. So yeah.
And so what happens when my hand is pointing up is the direction of the energy is going up now. So before, everything was helping pull everything down, sort of release the pressure on the block. And now what's happening is my hand position is turned, and it's saying, okay, now we can go in the natural order. So it's sending it up, but on the front, it's still pulling it down.
Isn't it interesting?
Mhm,
If you look at it
mhm.
that way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So then we're back to the main central, where we're exhaling down the front and inhaling up the back.
Mm-hmm. Super cool. Hey, Jiro. I mean, really. I look at all these flows like this now, and everything he did. It's just incredible, really.
Yeah.
When you study them, when you study these flows.
Mhm.
This is one of those flows that has so many connections to all of the other pages of the books. And in Pamela's book, it's interesting. If you turn the page from the 14 flow, she has the next page. She says 13 flow continued, and she has the lumbar circle and the 5-pointed star, which is the order of creation. And so you can really,
I have all the notes here.
she leaves it open for you to do your own studying and make
Yeah.
those connections.
That's the next page.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that then you can start seeing which depths you're working with on the spine and on the main central, which depths come in when you're using the fingers. Right? We talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, because she put a lot of notes in her textbook, her own notes,
Mhm.
and so there's more written material there. Which we'll go over in connections.
Yes, in connections we will talk about.
We will talk about all that. Yeah. So that so this is the end of the flow, really.
Yeah.
At T12 you are now.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, depending on the person, I will go down the lumbars all the way to the coccyx to finish it up, or go to the coccyx and just hold the first step of the spleen flow, and that will be it. That will be nice the way to end. And wanted to talk a little bit more about the hand positions on the body, because the last time we were talking about this and this, and then Jules gave me a session, and I had my hands like this, and I thought, oh, but I'm really open to receive the session, because I said the last time, I said, here you're kind of open and here you're kind of closed. But I realized that when I started the session, and I think you did a 13 flow,